Francis. In April 2025, a few days before Easter, I caught up with Frances on a Zoom call. She looked awful, and it was no wonder why. About a week earlier, her parents had been picked up by the police for questioning. It was the second time this had happened. The first time was shortly after the arrest warrant and the bounty was put on her head. That was to be expected. This time, Frances was shocked. The only explanation she could think of was that the government was retaliating for sanctions the U.S. had imposed against Chinese and Hong Kong officials, something she had long advocated for. Frances spent days in her D.C. apartment watching press footage of her parents. Leaving the police station, her mom frowned behind her mask while her dad shielded his eyes as he walked through a crowd of reporters. It broke my heart, she wrote to friends and colleagues, to see them treated as though they had done something wrong when they hadn't. They are good people, good citizens who care for others. They are just a mother and a father like anyone else's. She was overcome with guilt. Her parents were going through this because of her. She felt like she had failed them. As a daughter, Frances told me, my duty is to take care of them as they age and give them a sense of relief that I'm taking care of myself. I've been unable to do that. I'm adding to their burdens. I tried to talk her out of blaming herself to get her to see that she has not failed as a daughter. Being a parent, I have no doubt they are proud of her standing up for her ideals and for her people. It's so hard for you to advocate for Hong Kong, knowing the impact it could have on your parents. Can you talk about how difficult that is and the decision you make every day to advocate for the people of Hong Kong?
Sorry. Can you guys hear me? Okay. I just recalling those scenes is very difficult. I think I remember just spending the whole night watching videos of my parents walking out from the police station. There are other activists who have experienced the same thing, but at that time it was very shocking because it was just 2 days after the US imposed sanctions and just after one of the legislation that I've been pushing for on the Hong Kong Economic and Trade Offices was also reintroduced in Congress. Both of the things that were something I have been long advocated for while I'm in the US in my position at the CFHK Foundation. And that time, the police really arranged they contacted, from my understanding, they contacted all the journalists, all the media outlets they could reach in the city, and for them to be prepared to station outside the police station to capture my parents leaving the police stations, just so they would look like criminals and would look like they have done something wrong, they've raised a bad kid, and it will then soon be broadcast to everyone in Hong Kong to know that who are these parents, what they how they look like, and what their daughter has done. And I think I've fought for Hong Kong's democracy for actually more than 10 years. I started my activism since I was 14 years old in Hong Kong as a student. And it has always been my decision whether or not I want to go onto the streets and say, free Hong Kong or, democracy for Hong Kong. It has always been my own independent choice to make, to do that. But then at that moment, it's a realization that what I do here in the US, my protected free speech, would actually affect my parents and create consequences to them, and they become the bargaining, they become what's on the table. Their health, everything, their life, their reputation are all there to be used as a threat against me. And so that feels like it feels like I have lost my agency, that I have to, every time when I make a decision, every time I say something here in the US, I have to think about what would carry on to my parents in Hong Kong, what my friends would face in Hong Kong for just simply being my friends, for my activism. And so I think in the book it also mentioned later on how I kind of try to regain my agency and to actually share to people what my parents mean to me, what it was like to be raised by them. They're good people. They care so much about others, and they spend their leisure time, not just their work time, but leisure time to care about others, bring us to senior homes and visit seniors, people who need help. They really carry the Catholic faith to the core values and pass it down to me. And I want people to remember them as who they are, as how I grew up knowing them. And so I actually didn't stop talking about them. I actually went out to the social media and share how great they are. And at that time, I feel actually very relieved to be able to regain my agency and share who they are for me. But I think this is like the challenge that so many activists face. They would rather silence themselves and maybe do something else and stop their advocacy. And this is and the CCP has gotten it so far, gotten away with it so effectively. And so that's why people become quiet because of the pressure. And I think that if I can overcome that fear, I can break that cycle. I can tell the CCP that this doesn't work, and I can have the right to have the power to go to see U.S. politicians and see policymakers and tell them that you can also do something to help us. If we can fight against this, if I can stand with this threat, if I can take that, you can also use your power, your influence to help us to fight this evil regime.
Thank you. Thank you.